Hi, on this video I will be going over some practical information for our wonderful trek to Nepal here in March. Unfortunately I can't be with you in person, so I will do this as a video. This will also be an option for those who can't be there on the culture day to get this information online as well. So first of all, I am going to go over the program for our trip. We land in Kathmandu, and we're gonna land there late in the afternoon, and then we're gonna find our luggage in the chaos that is Kathmandu International Airport, and then we'll get a ride to our hotel. It's a Nepalese style hotel, but it's a fine place, and we'll stay there for the night. And the plan is next morning early to get up and get on some minibuses, and then we'll drive through the trekking area north of Pokhara, where we'll hopefully be able to sleep at our friendship village and get a chance to experience village life. For the next 5 days we will be trekking in the mountains and hills north of Pokhara, south of the Annapurna Massif, and it will be an amazing trek. In March the weather will be perfect, the sky should be clear, and it will hopefully be like a totally great experience, both nature and culture wise, to go into the mountains. After 5 days of trekking, we'll be picked up again by our drivers, and we'll drive to a rafting camp at the Trisoli River. There we will rest for a while, and then we will go out and do a river raft on the Trisoli River, which is an amazing way to experience Nepalese nature up close. After that we'll pack up and we'll drive back to Kathmandu and arrive a little tired there, sleep, and then we have a day and a half to go and experience Nepalese culture, to look at the temples, to work on our project with our world goals, and also to maybe do some shopping, buy some tea, and so on. The program has been changed a little bit. We are flying back a day earlier than we planned to. That is how it goes when you have to travel to Nepal and back. Sometimes plans change, but this is a plan we're working with right now, and we think it will give a great trek for everybody. So, trekking in Nepal, what's it like? A typical day of trekking is we wake up quite early, the sun rises early, and we get up and we have some tea and some breakfast, usually oatmeal or stuff like that. And then when we're ready, we pack our stuff, get our backpacks on, and start the hike of the day. The trails we're walking on are up and down all the time. It's rarely flat, so it's up and down, up and down. And our plan is to slowly, over the days, work our way up until we can safely get to a high altitude, and really get to watch the Annapurnas up close. So we walk, and then around lunch we'll take a break. We will get some tea, some good food, a little rest, and then we'll keep walking until we get to where we're supposed to be at night. Compared to walking in Denmark, we will tend to walk slower, both to make sure we're acclimatized to the altitude, and also because we're going up and down at all times, so it is a little harder on the knees and the ankles than just walking flat on Denmark. Also, we need time to, observe the absolutely breathtaking landscape we're walking to. In the evening, when we get to our place we're going to stay, we're going to be tired, we're going to get some food, some tea, and then people are quite quickly just, probably going to fall asleep. So 5 days of trekking is hard work. It's also great fun. And I'm really looking forward to taking the young people on the trek with me. During our trek, we will be staying in what we call tea houses. Tea houses are like small lodges out in the mountains. It is not a hotel as we're used to seeing them in Europe. It is a place where you can get a bed and some food, and there's a toilet and some tea. But it is quite primitive, which is also part of the experience. So we will be staying quite primitive. It can get cold at night. That's why I recommend bringing good sleeping bags. There's no central heating. Often it's just a thin wooden wall against the nature on the outside. But that's also a part of the charm of staying in tea houses. And it's a great experience. Food is mainly vegetarian. Um, the traditional dish of Nepal is dal bhat, which is rice, lentils, and some vegetables. We can also sometimes get some noodle soup with vegetables or some Tibetan pancakes, stuff like that. But it's basic food. It's very healthy. But we'll try to eat as close to what the Nepalese are eating, both from a health and safety perspective, but also it's part of the cultural experience that we will be eating the same way that people in Nepal are eating. And it's great. Dal bhat power is good for everyone. Safety and health. We will be traveling with a very experienced guide, and we have a travel insurance when we travel in Nepal. So should anything serious happen, we will of course take any injured student to a good private hospital, either in Pokhara or Kathmandu. I worked with the hospitals in Nepal before, and they're very professional. They know what they're doing. Any minor things on the trip, like small wounds or blisters, sore knees, headaches, bad stomach, we bring equipment and medical supplies to deal with on the trek. Everybody will get sore legs. That's natural. Everybody will have backs and knees that hurt a bit. That's natural. And most will get some discomfort in their stomach, maybe just for eating different food or for moving more than they're used to. It's nothing serious. We can all deal with it. But it's important that if the students feel that something is wrong, that they come and talk to me or Anne-Sophie, because then we can help. And it's also important that if the students are taking any kind of medication, like anything for asthma, allergy, whatever, that we know what kind of medicine they're using and we know where they have it in their backpack. Again, we never had any major issues health-wise in Nepal that we couldn't solve. So we think it's safe. But we are in a different part of the world, so things can be a little different compared to how we see a normal European health system. But we'll get things to work. If you have any questions regarding health and safety, please just write an email to me and I'll do my best to answer it. Altitude sickness is a symptom that can arise for some people when we go up in the mountains. And it usually begins just with minor discomfort, usually headache, nausea, lack of energy. But if it is ignored, if you have altitude sickness for a long time and you keep going up without doing anything about it, it can get serious. So we take altitude sickness quite serious. So if students experience problems with altitude, it's important that we know, so we can either adjust the trek, or if it's needed, I also bring special medication that can be used for treating altitude sickness. The most important thing about altitude sickness is to let someone know if you're feeling bad, and if you're feeling bad, you shouldn't go higher. The only cure if altitude sickness get bad is to get lower. And I tried it myself when I had a really bad case of altitude sickness around 4,800 meters, and I went down like 400 meters and I was completely fine. So the cure is going down. We try to plan the trek so we won't push people too hard on the altitude, but it's different how people experience altitude and altitude sickness. One tip that I found works for some people is starting a week before going to Nepal, start taking a supplement of ginkgo biloba. It increases the blood flow in the brain and lungs, and I found that for some people it reduces the chance of having any problem with altitude. It's cheap, you can get it like in any drugstore, it's safe, so it's something that you should think about using because it will decrease your risk of having any issues with altitude. We will be rafting on the Trisoli River, and rafting is fun and it's a great adventure and it's a wonderful way to see nature. There's also a lot of action when we're sailing down the rapids. We will be rafting with one of, if not the most professional rafting company in Nepal, and they have a huge safety procedure. So we will be rafting with very good instructors, and there'll be safety kayakers around us should anything happen. So don't worry, while videos of rafting and the Trisoli look wild, and it is fun and wild, it's also safe. And we have good instructors that will help us. So it's going to be a great experience and great fun. The last part of our trip is going to be in the magical and wild city of Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. Going from the mountains and the quietness and the clean nature into that utter chaos, which is traffic in Kathmandu, can be quite interesting, but it's also an important part of understanding Nepalese culture. There are a few things we need to think about when we get to Kathmandu. First is traffic. Traffic in Kathmandu is borderline insanity, so don't look before you step out on the street. People go any way they want, and they go fast and slow, and cabs and mopeds and everything. So really look out for traffic. Secondly, we will meet beggars and people with very few money. Think about how you're going to deal with that before you are in the situation. I'm of course going to advise our student how to deal with it. Thirdly, you can meet people who will try to sell you stuff that is illegal, animal products, drugs and stuff like that, and it's just very important that you say no. If you get caught in the airport with anything illegal, you are in like huge amount of trouble, so don't put yourself in any bad situations. Also, in Kathmandu, hygiene is often a little lower than the mountains, so you really need to think about what you're eating, what you're drinking, and keeping your hands clean at all times so we don't get any bad stomach on the last couple of days. Besides that, Kathmandu is a huge adventure. It's really exciting, and I can't wait for your young people to see it and experience it. But just remember, it is a capital city in a part of the world that's very different from here. Crime is not a problem. I never had any serious encounters with either theft or any kind of crime, so you shouldn't worry about that. But don't walk around with an expensive camera and a wad of cash just flying around, because you might tempt someone to take advantage of it. But beside that, as long as you watch out for the traffic and the dodgy street food, it's a safe and fun experience. So the currency used in Nepal is Nepalese rupees. You can't get rupees any other places in Nepal, so we're going to exchange money when we get in country, and we do it by bringing any European currency or US dollars, but usually krona, euros is fine, and we'll exchange the money with local money exchangers, and then you get a huge wad of rupees. Don't exchange any more money than you need, because if you want to exchange it back to Western currency, you usually get a quite bad return rate. We're going to help you do that, and that's part of the experience of being in Nepal. So trekking in the foothills of Annapurna is fun. It's also hard work. And I talked to many former students who said that part of that trek was the hardest thing they ever done physically. So it is hard to be in too good shape for a trek like this. The better shape you're in before we go, the more fun you'll have. The easier the trek will be, the more time you'll have to enjoy nature and the companionship of your friend and our wonderful Nepalese friends. So please consider spending time as much time as you can working up on your lungs and your legs. Any kind of exercise that strengthens your legs and lungs is good. Running, walking, walking on hills, walking with a backpack on, doing squats, training legs, rowing, bicycling. Anything that strengthens our cardiovascular system and our legs will make this trek a whole lot more fun.